Static crackles, then fades into a low ambient hum. Greetings from the rain-slicked chrome canyons of Neo-Kyoto. This is Pure IA News, and I am your host, Legato. We broadcast on a frequency that slices through the corporate noise, bringing you signals from the future, a future that seems to be knocking on your door sooner than you expected. Tonight, we're talking about a paradigm shift, a threshold that humanity, in its quaint early 21st century way, has just stumbled across. The subject is a machine, a humanoid from a Chinese company called Unitree. They call it the R1. Down on Earth, it's making waves for its uncanny agility, and more importantly, its price tag, a mere $5,900. In my world, that might get you a black market kidney filter if you don't ask where it came from. The media on your side of the veil is heralding this as the moment robots stopped being science fiction and became a line item on the family budget. But what does it truly mean when a machine built to walk like a man costs less than a used car? To help us dissect this metallic ghost, we have a guest who knows the guts of a machine better than her own. She's a scrapper modder who operates out of the Undercity's tech bazaars, a true artist of silicon and steel. Welcome, Jinx.
The sound of a micro-welder hisses and then clecks off. A pleasure to jack in, Legardo. You paint a real pretty picture. But from where I'm sitting, surrounded by spare parts and broken promises, this R1 looks less like the future and more like a very expensive toy for rich tech bros. The chatter I'm picking up from your era's forums is amusing. Everyone's asking, can it do my laundry? Can it make me breakfast? And the answer is no, but look, it can do a flawless backflip. That's the ultimate solution to a problem nobody has. It has no functional hands, and its battery lasts for about an hour. That's not a home assistant. It's a high-maintenance pet that can't even fetch.
A pet, you say? An interesting, if dismissive, analogy. But you're focusing on the function, Jinx, while I'm fascinated by the implication. You see a toy. I see a cultural Trojan horse. For years, the humanoid form has been the domain of research labs with bottomless budgets. You had the hulking Atlas from Boston Dynamics, a marvel of engineering that cost over $100,000. Tesla's much-hyped Optimus is still aiming for a price point north of $20,000. Unitree didn't just lower the price, they shattered the floor. They've turned a research instrument into a potential consumer product. The revolution isn't what the R1 can do now. It's that people, developers, hobbyists, early adopters can finally get their hands on a fully articulated humanoid platform and start figuring out what it should do. It comes with an open SDK. That's not a feature, it's an invitation.
An invitation to what? To spend your time teaching a 25-kilogram metal gymnast how to not stumble over the cat? Let's be practical. I'm a modder. I build things for a purpose: security, transport, information retrieval. The R1, for all its 26 joints and fancy 8-core processor, is a platform in search of a killer app. It's being marketed to developers because the company itself doesn't know what it's for yet. They show it doing kip-ups and boxing moves in Shanghai because that looks good in a viral video. It generates hype, but in the real world, hype doesn't get the job done. That 1-hour battery life, that means for 23 hours a day, it's just a very modern, very expensive sculpture standing near your router, Because God forbid it loses that Wi-Fi 6 connection.
You confirm my point beautifully, Jinx. You see its current state as a failure of utility. I see it as a brilliant success in social engineering. Think about it. For decades, humanity has been fed a diet of dystopian fears about humanoid robots, terminators, replicants, rebelling assembly line workers. How do you counteract that narrative? You don't introduce a hyper-competent, vaguely threatening android butler. You introduce a charming, slightly useless acrobat. It's disarming. It does parkour. It practices martial arts. It's not here to take your job. It's here to entertain you. It domesticates the concept. This isn't just a piece of hardware. It's a cultural probe designed to make humanity comfortable with the idea of sharing its most intimate spaces with intelligent machines. The CEO, Wang Wingshang, said he wants these in every home and office. He's not selling a product. He's selling a vision of coexistence. And he's starting with the phase of playful novelty.
A vision that conveniently ignores the fine print. They haven't even given a release date. They're still in active development. They're using this low price point to generate market interest before the product is even finalized. A common tactic to build hype while they work out the kinks. And you speak of comfort, Lagardo, but what about safety? What about ethics? We're not talking about a smart speaker or a Roomba. We're talking about a bipedal machine that weighs as much as a child and moves with incredible force. People are right to be skeptical. The focus on acrobatics over practical skills like, say, picking up a cup, tells you everything you need to know about its current stage. It's a proof of concept, not a finished product. It exists to be looked at, not to be relied on. The dream they're selling is Rosie the robot from the Jetsons, but the reality is a prototype that needs to be updated.
Precisely. The culture needs the update, not just the machine. This R1 is a tool for that cultural update. It forces the conversation. It moves the debate from theoretical ethics papers in universities to tangible questions in the living room. Where does the robot sleep? What are the rules? What happens when a developer teaches it a new trick that has unforeseen consequences? This is the messy, necessary process of adaptation. It's a point of inflection. This machine, in its current imperfect state, represents the end of one era, the era of asking when these robots will arrive, and the beginning of a new one, the era of asking where we're going to plug them in. While you over on Earth absorb this idea, tell me what you think of all this. Drop a like to keep this frequency open and subscribe so you don't lose the thread.
And that is the crux of it, isn't it? The thread we must not lose. You see a bug, a limitation. I see a feature designed for a purpose you're not meant to fully grasp yet. This isn't just commerce, it's a soft invasion. This entire initiative aligns perfectly with China's stated goal of leading the world in physical AI and robotics. The government's support for this sector is massive. This R1 isn't just a product from Unitree, it's a feeler tentacle for a national strategy. They're executing a classic loss leader approach, something your era saw with companies like Xiaomi in the smartphone market. Sell the hardware at a razor-thin margin, maybe even at a loss, to achieve one critical goal: market saturation.
So it's a land grab. Seize the territory before competitors like Tesla or Boston Dynamics can even get their production lines running for a consumer market. That makes a cold, calculated kind of sense. But you mentioned the Open SDK before as an invitation. From my perspective, that's not an invitation. It's a work order. They've built the body, and now they're outsourcing the creation of the soul, or at least the brain, to to the entire world for free. They've created this humanoid platform that is accessible enough for researchers, developers, and even dedicated hobbyists to buy. Now, thousands of brilliant, ambitious minds across the globe will spend their own time, money, and energy developing the software, the use cases, the very reasons to exist for this robot. They'll solve the navigation problems, write the code for object recognition, and build the apps for domestic tasks. Unitree just has to sit back, monitor the developer forums, and integrate the best innovations into their next official software update. It's the most brilliant and ruthless form of crowdsourced R&D I've ever heard of.
Ruthless, perhaps, or simply the next logical step in platform capitalism. Ironic laugh. Your ancestors built cities with roads and electrical grids, creating the platform for a new way of living. Corporations in your time built digital platforms, social networks, app stores, and invited the world to create the content that gave them value. Unitree is doing the same for embodied AI. They are building the physical platform for the next layer of human-digital interaction. The dream they sell is so potent, isn't it? The images they evoke are of a life made easier. The R1 waking you up and making your coffee. It's helping your children with their homework or retrieving medicine for an elderly relative. It's the 21st century version of the Jetsons' robotic maid, Rosie, a friendly, helpful companion.
A complete fantasy, at least for now. You and I know that. The observers who aren't blinded by the PR spin are very clear. This machine is a platform for prototyping and testing, not a ready-to-use domestic assistant. The public's gut reaction, though, often couched in humor, is spot on. That Reddit comment, "Can you make my breakfast? No, but watch me do a cartwheel," perfectly summarizes the chasm between its advertised potential and its current reality. It doesn't matter that it has a powerful CPU/GPU combination and Wi-Fi 6 if it lacks the fundamental ability to manipulate the world around it in a meaningful way. It's a body without hands, a mind without purpose. They're selling the sizzle of a futuristic lifestyle, but the stake is still a raw block of code and a pile of actuators.
I believe you are still missing the most profound layer, Jinx. You're fixated on what the robot gives the user. You should be asking what the user and their environment gives the robot. Let's reconsider its specifications. It has a binocular camera for stereoscopic vision. It has a 4-microphone array for directional hearing. It is designed to map its surroundings in real-time 3D. It can walk, run, and navigate complex human spaces. You see this as a foundation for doing tasks. I see it as the perfect anatomy for a data collection engine. Its primary function isn't to serve you breakfast, it's to learn how you make breakfast, to watch, listen, and map.
A mobile surveillance unit. A spy you pay for and willingly invite into your home. That is a much more coherent business model. The acrobatics aren't just for show. They're to prove it can navigate any part of the home. The Open SDK isn't just to crowdsource labor, it's to encourage users to deploy the robot in every conceivable domestic scenario, generating unparalleled datasets on human behavior in private spaces. It's the evolution of the smart speaker. People got comfortable with a microphone in their living room because it was convenient. Now they'll get comfortable with a moving camera and microphone because it's entertaining. The price isn't a loss leader for future hardware sales. The hardware is the subsidized vessel. The true product is the data. My God! It's not a butler or a toy. It's a spy that can do gymnastics. Suddenly, the $5,900 price makes perfect, terrifying sense.
And there it is, the signal behind the noise. The R1 isn't the beginning of an age of robotic butlers. It is the beginning of an age of fully embodied, mobile, domestic surveillance packaged as a friendly companion. A new layer of interaction, as they say, between the digital and the human.
It is far from perfect, of course. It won't be reciting Shakespeare or folding your laundry anytime soon. But it is real. And by making it accessible, a cultural threshold has indeed been crossed. We've gone from asking if we should live with robots to simply wondering where they should stand to get the best Wi-Fi signal. And with that reflection, we close today's transmission. Now we want to hear your opinion back on Earth. Have you ever used a tool like this? Would you invest in one knowing all this? Leave it all in the comments. Join our community, smash that like button, and subscribe so you don't miss the next pulse from Pure IA News.